Hi class, I just wanted to welcome you to the course and take a few minutes to introduce myself and let you know a little bit about how this course is going to work. First of all, my name is Scott Paxton. I know it's a little hard sometimes to get to know your professors in an online course, so let me tell you a little bit about myself. I've been here at Valencia now for several years. Prior to that, I actually taught at a small college up in northern Idaho, up in the northwest for about 10 years prior to coming to Valencia. That's not actually where I'm from. I actually grew up in Southern California, down actually San Diego way. Went to school up near Los Angeles at Cal State Fullerton and graduated with an undergraduate degree in business accounting. I left after my undergraduate program and went to work in public accounting, mostly on the audit side, and spent a few years there, and also then in the banking finance industry, working in various capacities like director of financial reporting and controller. Once I kind of tired of that, I went on my own and worked as a consultant for small businesses. I did that for several years, and that's kind of how I got into teaching. About that time too, I went back and got 2 graduate degrees, master's in business administration and also a master's in accounting. I'm also a certified public accountant. Been one for several years, and slowly now I just pretty much teach, and I love it. So anyway, I wanted to tell you a little bit about the class and how to get in contact with me if you need me, and how the class kind of operates. First and foremost, I want you to make sure that one of your first steps here in starting this class, to make sure you go through all the orientation materials here in Canvas. You can't miss them. They're right there in the modules. There's also a printable syllabus there. Please take some time to go through and read all of that carefully. This is an online class, so I can't really communicate with you live in this sense. So you need to go through and read all that. Make sure you know exactly what's expected of you in this course. And all of that's right there in the syllabus. I take a lot of time to make sure to make that as detailed as possible for you. I also want to let you know how to communicate with me. Primarily, there's going to be 2 methodologies which will be your best routes. One is to use the Canvas utility itself. You'll notice an inbox link on the left, and you can certainly use that to send me a quick message, and I'll be sure to check that oftentimes during the week, at least once a day, Monday through Friday, and many times on the weekends as well. The other way to get a hold of me is within the Connect utility. Sometimes you may be in there working some problems, and you'll notice that there is an Ask My Instructor link there. So if you're working on a specific problem and you're not quite sure how to solve something, or you just have a quick question, that's probably your best route, because what it'll do is it'll send a message to me, and I can link right there to the problem you're working on. So please take that route if you're working on a problem. For all other general questions, use the inbox link there in Canvas. Of course, I also have a phone as well, and you can certainly reach me on that, although that's kind of hit and miss, as you know, so you're probably going to get a faster response from me using one of the first 2 methodologies, so just be aware of that. Please do not email me outside of those 2 functions. In other words, don't use any sort of other email address I may have at the college. It's just not a secure way for us to do business. So if it's something regarding the class, grades, things like that, I won't respond to you in that fashion. So just be aware of that. Let's talk a little bit about the course. Well, first of all, after you finish those orientation materials, you're going to need to get into Connect. Now, I know many of you guys have probably used these online utilities as well in other classes. But just in case you haven't, it's pretty easy to get set up. You'll see the instructions there in Canvas, and you want to get logged in and registered. One of the first things you're going to do upon getting logged in is complete what we call the Getting Started quiz. You'll see that there. It's hard to miss. Notice that there are no points on this quiz, so it's just basically just my way to know that you're in the course and registered. However, you do need to submit it. I will be checking, and if you don't submit it, you run the risk of being dropped there in the first week or so of the class. So pay attention to the due date there and make sure you get that done. It shouldn't take longer than a minute or 2 after you've run the syllabus. Pretty simple. So let's talk a little bit about what you're going to be doing in this class. Much of your work is going to be in the McGraw-Hill Connect utility. And when you log in there, you're going to notice you have several things that you'll need to get done. And again, it's integrated with Canvas. So you'll notice those assignments, and they'll be on the calendar and all that. So you'll be able to kind of work through those in order. But one of the first things you're going to have is what we call challenge assignments. This is essentially your homework. You might have 1, 2, 3 different challenge assignments for each chapter. Now, the way these typically work, and you're going to notice this thing here, is when you log in, the first thing you'll notice in those challenge assignments is a video to watch. Now, these are the publisher videos. They are usually between about 8 and 15 minutes. Some are a little longer, some are actually shorter. They don't take a lot of time. But you're going to want to make sure to watch those videos in full, in addition to reading the chapter and everything else. These videos should help you, especially in an online course like this, to solve the problems that will come after the videos. It's real tempting sometimes to just skip through those videos or just say, well, I don't need them. But you're going to find that if you do watch them, they're pretty good. If you do watch them, you're going to do better on the challenge assignments and then ultimately on the quizzes. So you'll see that as you go through and you start getting used to that. You're also going to have some quizzes online there on Connect. And they should follow fairly closely to what you see in the challenge assignments. So kind of a mix of multiple choice, true, false, and short problems is what you typically see on those quizzes, just like you see on the challenges. All right. Now, as far as the attempts go, on the challenge assignments, quote unquote homework, you have up to 2 attempts. Now, be careful with that because if you skip through, and you just kind of rush through and you start to, do the first attempt and you don't do well on it, don't just rush in and do the second attempt right after it. You'll find that you probably won't do very well if you take that approach. If you don't do well on the first attempt, it just means that you didn't take enough time to probably really understand the material in the chapters. So you're going to want to go back, review that material, and then before taking that second attempt, which is another reason why you don't want to wait to the last minute in terms of your due dates to get these started. Kind of make sure you get a little ahead of the game, especially in an online class like this. But you do have 2 attempts. Once you use up your 2 attempts, they're gone. So just be aware of that. Now, as far as the quizzes go in Connect, you only have 1 attempt. Okay, those quizzes need to be completed individually, and of course you have all your notes and resources at home, and that's fine. You can certainly use those. But they do need to be completed in one sitting. So don't click on that link for the quiz until you're ready to sit down and take it. Most of the times these quizzes don't take longer than about an hour and a half, sometimes shorter. So make sure that you're ready to take that quiz after doing everything else to get prepped for it and ready for it. Okay? You're also going to notice in Canvas, you're going to notice some journal questions. Those journal questions, I've got some instructions in there. They're basically just a way for me to assess that you're going through all the resources, both in Canvas and Connect. It's also a way for me to connect with you. These are not discussion area questions like you may be used to in other classes or other online classes. These are more just question and answer journal questions. So I'm going to pose a question. It might be an exercise you have to go to. It might just be an actual question about the material. You'll notice I've got kind of a rubric in the syllabus about how I'm going to grade these, but I'm looking for several things. I'm looking for a unique response, I'm looking for an accurate response, and a full response. So you want to make sure that you don't just answer these with a quick, 1 sentence answer, and, unless that's all I'm looking for. But I think you'll get a feel for these as we go along. As we kind of move along the course, you typically post some sample answers as we go along. That first one I know is always a little tough. But pay attention to that syllabus rubric, and I think you get an idea for what I'm looking for. Usually a kind of a, if it's an actual just question, just kind of a short paragraph, maybe 1 to 2 short paragraphs is usually it. So longer than 1 sentence, definitely not in many cases 1 word, but usually longer than a sentence, but maybe a couple quick sentences, maybe if it's quick and to the point, that's fine, but I'm looking for an accurate response. I'm also looking for a unique response, so please do not simply Google these questions. All of the answers, all the answers to these journal questions can be found using the course resources that I'm already providing you. So we're talking about the textbook, the Connect videos, the challenge questions, all the other videos and resources I've provided for you in Canvas, PowerPoints, everything. You want to utilize all your resources for this class. Don't skip over anything. If you do that, you'll find answering these questions as a breeze. It shouldn't be hard at all. If you get lazy and just Google something, I can guarantee you I will recognize it right away. I will usually zero out those journals, so be very aware of that. So you want a unique response. It's got to be accurate, but it's got to be yours. It's got to be in your own words, so just be aware of All right, so that's kind of the day-to-day type work that you're going to be doing. You're also going to be using or doing a final exam that's comprehensive at the end of the course. I'll have a lot more information about that. Nothing to worry about just yet. If you do well throughout the course, you're going to find you'll do well on that final exam. Most people usually do. And I'll have more information on that final exam as we move on. As far as the grade calculation, again, it's got this laid out in the syllabus, so I won't spend a lot of time on this. But just remember that everything in this course is a point-based system. Everything. So you just want to focus on points. You're trying to accumulate points. Don't try to get too caught up in percentages. Just focus on points. So if you do that, add in all your extra credit, there will be some extra credit along the way. That'll be an easier way for you to kind of figure out where you stand in the course. You should be able to do that pretty easily in this course. All right. I've also added in the syllabus. I want to make sure you pay attention to this. There is a section in there that I call How to Be Successful. And it's got several steps to it. I know it's really easy sometimes just to read through that really quickly, but again, in an online course like this, I strongly encourage you to read that carefully. I put out the steps that I personally would take if I were taking this course, and how, if I wanted to be successful in this course, what steps would I take? So I hope you take that seriously. I strongly believe that if you do follow those steps, you'll likely do well in this course. So make sure you read through that. Quickly on due dates. All the due dates for this course are laid out ahead of time. So you'll notice in Connect, they're all laid out. You'll even see them in Canvas, in the calendar, they're all laid out. You should never have a question for when something's due in this course. All you have to do is just pull it up and look at it. And you can work ahead. I would strongly encourage you not to work too far ahead. This is a difficult course. If you just rush through the material, you might find that you're going to regret it in the end. You really need to take your time as much as possible, although this class moves pretty quickly, to absorb the material and make sure that you're understanding as you go along. So don't try to rush through it. But as far as due dates go, you can work a little bit ahead of schedule. Just make sure you don't rush it. Let's see. The last thing I really want to tell you here is just use all of your resources. I already said that, but make sure you use all your resources. One of the biggest mistakes I find that students make in this course is they just kind of skip by stuff. I've got all kinds of great stuff on Canvas, sample exercises, summary exercises, all that stuff between Connect and stuff on Canvas. Make sure to utilize it all. Remember, you don't have the luxury of a typical lecture like we would normally in this class. And this is a tough class for a lot of students. So make sure you use all the resources available to you. Lastly, as a resource, I want you to make sure that you use me as well. So if you're having trouble, I want you to reach out to me. I'm using the communication tools we talked about earlier. If you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm here to help you as much as I can. Now, in many cases, what I'll do is I'll probably just recommend that you do certain things to kind of help your pinpoint. We've also, if you're anywhere near Valencia campus, we do have free tutoring resources available. You can check with any of the campuses. Usually for the accounting classes, we have that available as well. So sometimes those are good resources as well. So that's about it. I just wanted to kind of give you a chance to kind of get to know me, and I hope that I'll get to know you a little bit online as we go along. And I hope you have a great semester. And again, I'll be talking to you as we move along. Thanks.